If you want to develop an emotionally healthy personality, there's some really simple things that you can start practicing and implementing into your life. Watch the rest of this video to learn exactly how you can develop a more emotionally stable and healthy personality. Before we look at what it takes to develop an emotionally healthy personality, let's take a quick peek at what it looks like to have an emotionally unhealthy personality. You've probably come across people like this all the time, and actually you may even be one of these people, but you might not even notice it. Someone who's emotionally unhealthy might look like someone who's unstable and erratic. Perhaps they fly off the handle, or they get triggered really easily, or in their presence you feel like you have to walk on eggshells. Or if this sounds like you feel like every little thing just sets you off and you have a hard time staying stable and even keel. Other variations of emotionally unhealthy might be being sad or being depressed or being all the time, or being angry and resentful and rageful and having a temper and flying off the handle. These are all examples of ways of being that are emotionally unhealthy. And not only do they hurt us, because it doesn't feel good to feel that way, it definitely drives a wedge between us and the people in our lives. It hurts us at work, it hurts us in our families, hurts us in our relationships, and hurts us within ourselves. So I'm going to share 4 unhealthy personality traits and then the flip side of what it looks like to be healthy. The first personality type that's really unhealthy is where we avoid or distract ourselves from what's really going on. This can be really unhealthy because it can take our attention away from things that really need to be addressed. So, for example, if we consistently avoid that our body is feeling bad, we'll probably end up really sick. Or if we consistently avoid or distract ourselves from dealing with problems in our relationships, then our relationships are going to suffer. So the opposite of avoid and distract is facing the truth, is facing the reality and addressing it head on, no matter how uncomfortable or how painful it might be. The more that we avoid and distract, the more we bury emotions deep, deep down. And by addressing these issues right up front, and especially right when they happen, we can start to process them better and develop a more emotionally healthy and stable way of being. And what that can also involve is feeling the feelings that we're often trying to avoid. The second type of unhealthy personality is the blamer. It's someone that places blame outside of themselves for all of the things that are wrong in their lives. They say, "You make me feel this way," or "You made me do this thing." The blamer is not willing to take accountability or responsibility for their own role in life. The opposite of the blamer is the person who will take accountability for everything, who says, what is my role in this every single time? Now, it might seem really odd for me to say that you should take responsibility for everything, when clearly there are things that are not our fault. The problem with that attitude is that it's a disempowering way of being. We can either live our lives like the victim, or we can live our lives like an empowered person. The empowered person is the person who takes on more and more responsibility for more and more things in their lives. I'll give you a great example of someone who's very empowered and could have become a victim. Here's an extreme example of someone who could have easily played the victim card and easily blamed circumstances outside of himself, but instead chose to be empowered. It's the drummer from Def Leppard. If you remember, he was one of the #1 top drummers in the world, and then he had an accident and he lost an arm. Now, nobody would have blamed him if he had said, "Hey, I'm missing an arm, I can't be a drummer anymore." But this guy didn't do that. This guy said, because he was empowered and he owned the situation, he said, "How can I still be a drummer? How can I change how I'm being, change my circumstances so that I can drum again?" Well, he went and he created a whole new system for drumming, a whole new drum set based on being a 3-limbed drummer rather than a 2-armed drummer. He started using more of his legs, and he is still, to this day, I believe, one of the top drummers in the world. So that's the difference between the blamer, the victim, the person who doesn't take responsibility, and the person who takes full accountability for his life. The third personality that's really unhealthy is the people pleaser. The people pleaser is someone that never knows how to say no, that always says yes to everything, even if it's something that they don't want or don't want to do. The opposite of the pleaser is the person who stands in their power and in their truth and has clear yeses and knows what their boundaries are and what their standards are. The fourth personality type that's unhealthy is what I call the Eeyore type. The Eeyore type of person is someone who's down and low energy and all the time just physically and emotionally down here. That type of person is someone who people are going to generally want to get away from. And so being that type of personality is not healthy. And it really doesn't come in handy if you want to be a leader and position yourself as someone of influence and impact. The opposite of the Eeyore type is someone who takes care of themselves and makes sure to have themselves be energy rich at all times, or at the very least, even when they can't be fully energy rich, is energy neutral rather than dropping into this low energy state. In order to build up energy, we've got to take a look at our physiology. You've probably heard me say this all before, but our life force energy is what gives us the ability to rise up above circumstances and have the energy to make the things happen in our lives that we want to make happen. So we've got to look at sleep and food and taking care of our body just as much as we take care of our career or our bank account or our minds. If you're interested in developing a more emotionally healthy personality in service to a business or a mission or a vision that you want to achieve, then let us know. Go ahead and book a call below by clicking the button and schedule your discovery call with one of my lead coaches to find out if and how we might be able to support you in uplifting your business and uplifting your life.